Pickup trucks aren't really trucks anymore. Let me explain. Back then, trucks were useful. They were reliable, could pull pretty much anything, and were a great economical alternative compared to a van or a full-on truck. And oh, they were cheap. Back in the year 2000, you could pick up a base Ford F-150 for around 15 grand adjusted for inflation. And sure, you got what you paid for. There was plastic everywhere, no screens, and crank windows. But it was meant to be a work truck. It got the job done, and if you wanted nicer features, you could upgrade for slightly more money to get power windows or carpeted floors. But the base model itself just got the job done, and people were okay with that. But now, that view of buying a truck just to get the job done was thrown out the window. A brand new Ford F-150 starts at, get this, almost 40 grand, and that's the most bare bones model. Here's the thing, the Ford F-150 isn't meant to be a workhorse anymore, it's now meant to be a luxury toy. Take the design of both trucks. The 2000 Ford F-150 was more rounded and modest, but now it's meant to be as high as possible and more aggressive. This is to cater more to people who just want to buy a truck to look cool, because no one wants a truck that's actually low to the ground, so you could load things easily in the bed without breaking your back. No, we need to be lifted so high, you can't even see a pedestrian over the hood. And here's the thing, both trucks have the exact same capabilities and perform the same under the hood. The difference is pathetic. You're paying more for less. That's further proving that trucks are becoming more tough to make you look more powerful and dominant against these old and capable pickup trucks. It's all psychology here. The more we lift trucks and make them look cooler, the more they increase in price, and it'll only get worse from here on out. Trucks will get larger, and soon pickups might not even be meant for jobs anymore. They might turn into glorified showpieces, and they already are. Take the King Ranch trim. Who is this for? No one who needs a pickup truck should get whatever this is, because it's just a luxury badge, meant for even looking tougher than you already are. So yeah, the reason why trucks are getting more expensive and worse are because of their design changes, but it doesn't stop there. Take the interior. It changed a lot. Sure, we need comfort, but again, this is a work truck. Who needs leather seats and a gigantic touchscreen? Touchscreens are the reason why trucks are getting more expensive. Work trucks are getting less buttons and more screens on the dash than they need to. This is the new Silverado, and would you look at that, even the gauge cluster's been replaced with meaningless pixels on the screen. If this thing breaks down, which it probably will at some point, you won't even know how fast you're going, or how much gas you have left or miles on the odometer. Here's the sad truth. Buttons are being replaced with crappy screens that are somehow easier and cheaper to produce in China than plastic knobs and even gauge needles. Here's the thing though, if screens are cheaper than knobs and taking over car interiors, shouldn't they be cheaper? No. Remember when I said screens are inflating the price of cars? Well, in reality, manufacturers are passing this off as a futuristic design revolution, and even though it's just cheaper, they feel the need to inflate the price out of it because look, we filled your truck with extra screens. Isn't this so futuristic? And thus, they feel the need to charge you extra, even though you're paying them more for money they literally saved. Ever since 2020, touchscreens have been dominating cars not because it's trendy, but because screens and chips are getting easier to produce. And now, on top of all this, trucks are getting less capable. Here's how. Truck beds have been shrinking bad. Here's a new Ford Maverick. It is a tiny 5-foot bed. It's useless and it can't load much. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ford Maverick was originally supposed to be a crossover and Ford was like, cut off the trunk and replace it with the bed. That'll make Americans think they're getting a new cool pickup truck, but in reality, they're getting a crossover underneath. Now, because of that, it's one of the best-selling trucks in America, even though it's completely incapable of doing anything but hauling groceries. And now there's a Lobo version, even more expensive, even more incapable, and even more cool. Look at those rims, don't they just scream utility? Also, it's over 40 grand. Yeah, all that for a new paint job and fancier wheels. Another way trucks are getting worse is their height. I mentioned before that brands are lifting trucks so people think they're getting more, when reality is, the truck is just bulkier and higher off the ground. Now, look at how many steps trucks need just to access the bed. Let's go back to the 2000 Ford F-150. It's about the same height as a sedan, but that loss of ground clearance comes with a valuable trade-off: accessibility. Back then, it was so easy to load in anything you want, but now, to load a couch into an F-350, you need a forklift or, I bet, a crane. But that doesn't matter, because F-350 drivers aren't doing anything but loading groceries back there anyway. If you see a pickup truck that's actually being used for its purpose, chances are it's made before the 2010s because it's more accessible and more nimble. Actual companies have less utility cars to choose from every year that are fairly priced and useful, so they go with older trucks or newer vans. That's why you see all these work companies with outdated vehicles and even sedans in some cases. So yeah, trucks are getting more tech-filled, bigger, and less accessible, all to look aggressive and appeal to a very niche and annoying audience, and that's a really bad thing. The idea of a bare bones truck is gone. Take the new Tacoma. Do you know why older Tacomas lasted decades without even needing maintenance? It's because they're simple, but now they're crammed in with lane assist, Apple CarPlay, and blind spot cameras. All this tech in trucks is a huge problem, because that gives people who actually need a truck less and less affordable options to choose from every year. And automakers are okay with that, because there are more fat Americans who can't fit in cars, who want to look patriotic and express their freedom in a gigantic lifted 1500 they have no problem with leasing, even though they make an eighth of their car's MSRP a year. Then there are construction workers who actually need to haul things around, or service workers that make the world go round, or rescue teams and paramedics who save lives. The idea of utility has all been ditched for luxury, and it'll only get worse from here on out. So now, what could you do? Well, for one, don't fall into the lease trap, obviously, and don't fall into the SUV trap either. If you think you need space to haul stuff all the time, you probably don't. Most people who need a truck end up carrying nothing but air and a gym bag in the bed for 99% of the year. But if you do rail work, you tow, you haul, you're on job sites, there's still hope. Here's the move. Look used. A 2004 F-150 in decent shape that's not even near the end of its lifespan? $8K to $10K. That's less than 1 year of payments on a new platinum trim. It'll still pull over 7,000 pounds and carry your tools easily. And guess what? If that truck gets a scratch, you won't have a mental breakdown because the paint job costs more than your first car. And if you don't even need a tow but just need cargo space, skip the truck entirely. Buy a van. Seriously. A 2010 Ford Econoline or a Chevy Express can be found for under $12K, and you'll have more enclosed space than any $90,000 F-150 with a bed cover. No need for a 6-foot lift kit, no paying for King Ranch batches, just pure utility. Contractors have known this forever. If you want to work, a van is king. Bulletproof V8s, zero nonsense, and they'll run forever. A van doesn't care about trends, it just cares about getting the job done. And here's the kicker, if you keep buying into the hype, bigger screens, fake luxury, and $2,000 tailgates, you're just proving automakers right. They don't care about giving you a truck or a van, they care about giving you status on wheels and bleeding your wallet dry. So yeah, skip the gimmicks. Find a solid older truck or a work van, keep it maintained, and let everyone else waste money on features they'll never use. What do you think? Do you think American trucks are at the point of no return, or do you think there's some hope left? I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember people, drive safe, drive smart, but most importantly, drive something worth talking about. See you in the next one.